Okay, NXT TakeOver, The End, or as it was rechristened at the beginning of the show, The End of the Beginning. Yeah, this is not exactly the last NXT TakeOver. This is, there's going to be another NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. They're still calling them takeovers, so there's really no reason to worry about that. And if you watched, I think it was my Ninja Turtles review, I was kind of cryptic towards the end of that as to whether or not I was going to be able to see this live. The reason is I had jury duty. And jury duty was supposed to begin on Tuesday. The trial was going to last until Thursday. And it's like, well, I don't know if I could watch this, shoot this, and put this... I don't know exactly the parameters are on that. But thankfully the case wound up being settled at a court and I didn't have to serve. So... yeah, so it wound up being kind of a moot point. Anyway, our first match for NXT TakeOver, The End. Ty Dillinger versus, okay, I'm winging this a bit. My Spanish is really, really loose at times, so it's Andrade Cien Almas. Yeah, debuting luchador. Normally he wears a mask, but now he isn't. Funny thing is, he's kind of dressed sort of the same way as No Way Jose, another character from the Dominican Republic who just debuted a few weeks ago, except he has a much nicer hairstyle and he comes out to the ring with a big feathered hat. Anyway, starting things off, there was some nice chain wrestling maneuvers, a lot of reversals, a series of crisscrosses, and at one point almost went for a leapfrog and managed to counter that into a drop kick onto Dillinger. Dillinger then hit a tilt-a-roll backbreaker for a 2 count. Almas then hit sort of this double moonsault. He went to the second rope and he flipped off of that, and then he flipped again. He landed on his feet and then he flipped again and managed to land on Dillinger because Dillinger had rolled out of the way for the first moonsault. They did a setup in the corner. A couple of times Almas did this sort of handstand with the ring ropes. He used the corner to do the handstand, basically, and he used instead of using his hands, he used the 2 ropes to support his shoulders. They did this a third time, and Dillinger just drilled him with this big super kick. Got a 2 count. Dillinger then went for his finisher, the tiebreaker, but Almas kind of got out of that, threw Dillinger into the corner turnbuckle. Almas hit a handspring knee stomp, and then which got Dillinger into the turnbuckle again, and then he hit a running knee strike into the corner for a 3 count and a victory. Really solid match. I didn't get a lot of... it was a little slow at the beginning, so I didn't take a lot of notes for it. That's why that's kind of condensed. It was not a squash match, though. It was nice to see that Dillinger got in some offense. He was not left alone there. Sorry, got some birds making noise now. And like I said, it was a really good, solid match. And then we have our second match of the evening, the NXT Tag Team Championships, American Alpha versus The Revival. Early on, actually, Gable and Dawson started, but then Dawson almost immediately tagged in Wilder, and Wilder locked Gable in a hammerlock. Then Wilder tagged Dawson back in. Gable hit Dawson with an arm drag and head scissors. It got to tag in Jordan. All four men began brawling at that point. At one point, American Alpha hit both locked ankle locks onto Dash and Dawson. Jordan hit a waist lock into a bridge on Wilder for a 2 count. Dawson hit a European uppercut on Gable and knocked him out of the ring. Gable came back in and hit a big flying clothesline on both Dash and Dawson. Dawson hit a stun gun on Gable for a 2 count. Dawson hit a spine buster on Gable for a 2 count. Dawson hit a chop block on Gable and it prevented him from getting a tag to Jordan. The Revival hit a stage dive and got a 2 count on it. Eventually Gable got the tag to Jordan. Jordan came in and started throwing guys out of the ring. The Revival managed to come back though. Revival hit a sunset clothesline on Jordan for a 2 count. The American Alpha then hit a drop kick into a German suplex for a 2 count. Gable put Dawson into another ankle lock, but Wilder came in and broke it up, and then the kind of schmoz broke out. The Revival tried to set Gable up for a doomsday device. Gable countered it and hooked Dawson and hit him into a belly-to-belly suplex out of it. Eventually, again, another sort of schmoz broke out. American Alpha tried to do the Grand Amplitude finisher, but Dawson pushed Jordan out of the ring before he could get Wilder up. And the two wound up hitting the Shatter Machine for the 3 count and the victory. So the Revival are once again the NXT Tag Team Champions, and for the first time, we have 2-time NXT Tag Team Champions. After that, as the Revival celebrated and left the ring, American Alpha got jumped by 2 unnamed individuals. And they just started pounding him and pounding him. They started targeting Gable's knee. It is 2 really big, muscular guys. And then, of all people, Paul Ellering came out. Paul Ellering, the longtime manager of the Road Warriors. And it's like, oh, looks like he's got new charges. And sadly, like, pretty much no one in the arena recognized him. And I checked on Twitter almost immediately after the match. No one on Twitter recognized him. It's like only Cage Side Seats seemed to know who he was. Everyone else was like, wow, Goldberg looks really different. Like I said, it's nice to see Paul Ellering back. But, you know, the last time I remember Precious Paul managing someone other than the Road Warriors, it was DOA. And, yeah, that didn't last very long. I did do a brief checkup on the internet. I want to say it was Cage Side Seats. I may be wrong on that. And they said this team was on the independent circuit has been going by the name the Authors of Pain. So it looks like they're in NXT now. Okay, our next match is Austin Aries versus Nakamura Shinsuke. Aries comes out. He's introduced. He's actually wearing a Macho Man-esque ring cape as he entered the ring. The match opened up with a series of reversals. Again, much like the first match of the night, there's a lot of chain wrestling going on. Aries tried to go for the Lance Chancery, but Nakamura managed to roll out of it. Aries countered a roundhouse kick into a leg whip. Aries began targeting Nakamura's knee. Aries hit a corkscrew elbow drop for a 1 count. Aries then locked on a modified chin lock. Basically, unlike, say, the camel clutch chin lock where you sit down on the guy. Instead, he sat back. He stood on Nakamura's ankles and he pulled back on the chin like this. Nakamura began to rally at a series of kicks, including a couple running knee lifts into the corner. Aries then managed to hit a rolling elbow on Nakamura and knocked him out of the ring. Then it knocked him out enough that it looked like Nakamura wasn't going to be able to beat the 10 count, but Aries gets greedy and he goes for a suicide dive, and Nakamura dodged just out of the way at the nick of time, and Aries crashed into the ring barricade. Oh, no, wait, that didn't happen just yet. Nakamura locked on a triangle choke and got out of it. Okay, I skipped something here, sorry. Nakamura got back into the ring. Okay, I'm sorry, I gotta start this over a bit here. Okay, Aries hit the rolling elbow and knocked Nakamura out of the ring. Everything I said after that, ignore. Nakamura got back into the ring. He countered an Aries move into a triangle choke. Aries then countered a Kinshasa into the last chancery, but Nakamura got to the ropes. Aries then hit a DVD on the ring apron. This sets up the missed 10 count into the suicide dive, which Nakamura dodged, causing Aries to fly into the ring barricade. Nakamura rolls Aries back into the ring and hits 2 Kinshasas for the 3 count and the win. Nakamura wins. Okay. Okay, last 2 matches, obviously there's so much action, it was almost impossible to try to cover everything. I know I left bits out of there. Like I said, in both cases. For the tag match, I would say that was a really great match. Unfortunately, I think the crowd reaction to the returning Paul Ellering and the Authors of Pain, that's what I'm going to call them until they call them something else, didn't seem to go over as well as I think a lot of people thought it would. And but the Aries Nakamura match more than made up for it. So, okay, on to the next match, which is the NXT Women's Championship match: Asuka versus Nia Jax. Basically, the opening part of the match was Nia Jax was constantly trying to grab Asuka, but Asuka kept rolling out of the way. Eventually, Nia got her hands on Asuka and tossed her across the ring and into the corner. Asuka managed to rally back a little bit and lock on a Black Widow, but Nia worked her way out. Nia hit a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker for a 2 count. Asuka went for a guillotine choke, but Nia countered that into a suplex. Asuka went for a triangle choke, but Nia countered that into a buckle bomb. Nia put Asuka into a bow and arrow around the ring post. Nia went for basically a double choke, but Asuka countered that into a knee bar. This is when Asuka was starting to rally. She managed to roll away from Nia and lock on a cross arm breaker a couple of times. Eventually, Asuka came back and also hit a running knee, and then she hit her hip attack. But Nia rallied back again. She hit a big spine buster and a leg drop. Only got a 2 count on it. Asuka then Nia went for a power bomb. Asuka countered that into an arm bar. Eventually, Nia kind of worked her way out of it. Asuka just started hitting roundhouse kick after roundhouse kick after roundhouse kick, dropping Nia to her knees. Nia just screamed out once, and then Asuka hit a running knee right to Nia's face for the 3 count and the win. Asuka retains. Sorry, yeah. Asuka retains over Nia Jax. So, yeah, again, another really good, solid match. Didn't overwork. I think it was better than the Nia Jax Bayley match. Just because I think they didn't play too much into. You know, they seem to say that like Nia learned from that, and so she wasn't as I'm trying to use players where I'm saying this, not as lumbering as she was in that the London match against Bayley. So it was definitely an improvement from that. Okay, and then briefly between matches, we had a little segment where William Regal was doing a backstage interview, and then Bobby Roode walks through the shot, and he walks into Regal's office. And he goes, Regal goes, "Oh, sorry, I have some business I need to attend to." And he walks inside. So, make of that what you will. Triple H said in a conference call yesterday, some of the major concerns with NXT, with the brand extension returning to the main roster, NXT is going to continue. NXT TakeOvers are going to continue. And he was trying to work on signing both Eric Young and Bobby Roode. So, okay. Alright, now, our main event, the steel cage match for the NXT World Championship. Samoa Joe versus Finn Balor. Almost right off the bat, Joe tried to do a quick escape through the door, but Balor caught him. Balor hit a series of forearms on Joe. Joe hip-tossed Balor into the cage. Joe hit a running kick in the corner, got a 2 count out of it. Balor hit an enziguri and then tried to crawl through the door, but Joe caught him. Pulled him back in, hit a big German suplex, only got a 2 count. Joe then tried to climb over the cage wall, but Balor caught him and started chopping at Joe's legs, and this caused Joe to fall back, kind of fall in between the ropes. Balor began hitting a series of elbow strikes, knocking Joe back into the cage. At one point, Balor climbed up onto the ropes, kicked Joe, kind of knocked him for a loop, but Joe fell forward, caught the top rope, and Balor basically fell and crotched himself on the ropes. Joe went for a muscle buster, but Balor countered that into a sunset flip for a 2. Balor hit a Pele kick on Joe. Balor hit a sling blade off the top of the cage and only got a 2 count. Joe hit a muscle buster and only got a 2 count. Balor hit 2 corner drop kicks and followed it up with the coup de grace and only got a 2 count. Joe countered a 1916 brainbuster into the coquina clutch. Balor managed to roll out of it and hit another double stomp, but didn't quite get all of it. Balor started trying to climb out of the cage, but Joe caught him, modified it into a muscle buster from the top rope, which resulted in a 3 count. Joe retains and keeps the NXT Championship. I was kind of afraid this was maybe setting up for a letdown, or maybe not a letdown if Finn Balor won, but that would have been okay. But again, we now have a 2-time NXT champion. Could we have maybe gotten or NXT Tag Team Champions? Could we maybe got our first 2-time NXT champion? Certainly, that does wonder, what are the rumors going to be that Finn Balor moves up to the main roster now? Does he join the club? Does it finally get renamed as Balor Club, or what happens there? I guess those rumors of him going up to the main roster certainly aren't going to die. Like I said, it was a really great match. It's kind of nice to maybe now we're finally not going to get a Samoa Joe Finn Balor match. I mean, we've had them the last 3 NXT takeovers, and there was the house show where the title changed hands. So again, kind of nice to start moving on from that. Like I said, there's going to be another NXT takeover. This one's going to be it's the night before SummerSlam in Brooklyn again. So yeah, not much to worry there. Obviously, next wrestling recap review will be Money in the Bank. Next video overall will probably be, unless some sort of unforeseen circumstance comes up, it's going to be the random trade review on Planetary Brigade. And that should just about do it. So, bye.